They call them explorers by nature. Why? Lundin Energy is a company known to be exploration-driven and with great successes on the exploration front. Anne Ekern from ONS took a chat with their managing director, Kristin Færøvik, where she reflected on how Lundin Energy not only will continue to explore for new resources, but also for new knowledge and smarter solutions.
The topic for our conversation today is explorers by nature. A lot of us recognize Lundin as a very exploration-driven company with a lot of success with regards to exploration. But I believe you associate much more with this title. Kindly elaborate.
Yeah, explorers by nature is first of all a very succinct articulation of who we are. It's of course a description of what we do, which is, as you said, exploring for oil and gas. It's also a reflection of the entrepreneurial spirit that is so deeply ingrained in the company, from the founders through our major shareholders and with our employees today. But it's also a reflection of who we are going forward. The industry we belong to is constantly challenged. We know we have to look for new ways, explore for new ways of working, explore for new solutions to stay competitive and be relevant.
Some say that the COVID pandemic will speed up the energy transition and the gradual move away from oil and gas, whereas others, they argue the opposite. And some say that moving away from oil is not necessarily the answer to the climate challenges. In a world where most of us consume oil and gas in one form or fashion, this is an industry that yet has had to deal with a lot of criticism. What is the position of the industry today and going forward?
Well, it's a bit early to say what the world's going to look like post-COVID, but what we do know is that world economies are weaker. We also know that for the economies to recover, prosper, develop, we need access to affordable energy, and hydrocarbons will continue to play an important part there. What is equally clear is that the climate ambitions that this industry has set are stricter and stricter, and this was very succinctly expressed earlier this year when Norwegian Oil and Gas launched its ambitions, and many companies followed suit thereafter with even more ambitious targets for emission reductions, and Lundin Energy being one of those, maybe the first to say that we shall be carbon neutral by 2030. And this is an expectation that we have from our shareholders, from our employees and from society at large.
And what are your perspectives with regards to the energy transition?
Well, as the discussion around onshore wind in Norway has illustrated, there is no energy form that comes without environmental challenges. Wind and solar needs access to very large land masses and is also dependent on the input of non-renewables like minerals, metals and plastics. So the challenge for the world is to find that balance between affordable, reliable energy sources that can help the economies develop and prosper, whilst continuing to serve a planet that is livable for human beings.
Norway has a strong position as an energy producer and traditionally as an exporter of technologies developed here. How important is our contribution with regards to the security of supply of energy in Europe? And to what extent are we at the forefront with regards to new and groundbreaking technologies, efficiencies in our operations, and minimizing this sector's environmental footprint? How important is this sector to Norway and Norway's economy?
Well, if I start with your last question first, we saw the manifestation of or acknowledgement of how important this industry to Norway is before the summer, when the employers' organizations, the unions, the companies, our politicians all gathered around coming up with a proposal that was then supported by the government and Parliament. A temporary tax change that was made to make sure that we continue to have activity on the shelf through the oil price slump, and not least that we have a thriving supply chain post COVID-19. So this dugnad has been really, for me, an acknowledgement of the importance of what we do. We provide more than 200,000 jobs, direct and indirect. Of course, the tax revenues and the value creation from the companies themselves are very important to Norway as a state, but I think the jobs we provide is what people, the individuals feel directly. In addition to being a very large exporter of hydrocarbons, we also have a supply chain that is the second largest export industry of Norway. So many technologies being developed here, so many fantastic companies across the country, which I find really heartening along the coast of Norway. But the subsea technology developed here, that where we are driving forward seismic interpretation, just a few examples. And of course we are important to Europe in terms of supply of energy. I mean, Norwegian gas has enabled the UK to significantly reduce the carbon footprint of their energy sector, and we are hugely important to other countries in Europe as well, Germany being one. Phasing out nuclear, of course they need Norwegian gas for the reliable energy source.
And you've seen no signs of this being halted by the COVID, Norway being part of pushing the energy future forward?
And we had no, not really. I mean, we all struggled when commodity prices fell through into a black hole, is what it felt like for a few short weeks there. But it did recover, the market did recover, and we are now seeing a normalization of commodity prices and a sector that has to learn to live with the prices that we achieve in the market.
In a lower oil price environment like we're faced with today, exploration is often the first thing to suffer. Could you please share your perspectives on the remaining resource potential on the Norwegian continental shelf? And based on this, what exploration level and activities your company is planning for 2020, 2021 and possibly beyond?
Well, as I've alluded to earlier in our conversation, exploration is in our DNA. Lundin has a track record of exploring through oil price troughs, and this year is no different. We have several exciting wells remaining in the program, and we are also now actively building a program for next year and 2022 and beyond. Exploration is absolutely critical to secure continuous activity and a prosperous Norwegian continental shelf going into the future, whilst we have secured temporary relief with the package that was approved by Parliament before the summer, which will see us through the next couple of years. We have to explore to continue to feed our very competent supply industry with projects post 2023. And why are we here? Why is Lundin Energy still keen to explore on the Norwegian continental shelf? Well, you can go to the Norwegian Petroleum Directorate's resource report, which says that more than 4 billion standard cubic meters of oil equivalents are yet to be found. So we are still very excited about the opportunities and very much encouraged by what we've seen this year. More than 50 years on after we started exploration activities, we still make discoveries in new models, and Eving, which we participated in, and the more recent Dugong discovery are examples of that.
With the COVID situation, there's been a dramatic digital shift and we find ourselves, both as professionals and private persons, to be utilizing digital solutions to an extent we have never seen before. What potential does digital solutions offer for improvements within the oil and gas business?
Well, first of all, digitalization has been part of the oil and gas industry for a long time. Modern seismic is inconceivable with yesterday's technology for data processing and storage, as one example. But with the COVID-19 pandemic, the incentives to reduce human exposure, for example, is no less today than it was yesterday, to put it mildly. So we will seek a continued push for minimum manning, reduced manning on any offshore installation and drilling facilities, as well as a further drive towards subsea developments. And we simply have to utilize the efficiency potential, the efficiency gains made possible by today's technology and data gathering, such that we have on modern installations like Edvard Grieg. Our energy management system is one such example. It allows us to optimize the plant with the effect of minimizing the energy used or lost in the production of hydrocarbons, as well as reduce our emissions.
And do you expect us to continue to work differently? What are your perspectives on the future of work?
We've learned quite a lot over the last few months. We have learned that digital meetings work really well for information sharing, and that they are brief and maybe more succinct and to the point. But I think we've also come to appreciate the value of meeting people face to face. The ignition of inspiration that we get from being challenged when we meet people, whether it's directly or indirectly, whether it's in meetings across the coffee station or over the lunch table. I think we've really come to appreciate that that is an important part of working life, and that for example, providing a learning environment for graduates or new members of a team is simply not very efficient if we all sit in our respective homes.
So interaction adds value.
Absolutely.
Thank you.